Hi, this is Kerry Artag with Wicked Stocks, bringing you your daily Tesla report for Tuesday, June 20th, 2023. Before we dive into that, I want to express our excitement in reaching the 20,000 subscriber mark on YouTube. In celebration, today we're offering our SPY and Triple Q analysis for Tuesday, June 20th, completely free. Be sure to check out both of those videos on our YouTube channel. And we're truly grateful for the support and dedication of our YouTube subscribers like you, as you've played a crucial role in our growth at Wicked Stocks. And as a gesture of that gratitude, we're offering you a special discount of 20% off your first month on wickedstocks.com. Our website provides daily analysis on the SPY and Triple Q, along with weekly analysis in the S&P 500, NASDAQ 100, and the long bond ETF, the TLT. And we also do 2 individual stock picks every week that you never see on YouTube that cater to the 3 to 5 week longer-term swing trader to 3 to 5 month near-term investor. All of this included in one comprehensive subscription package. To get that 20% off your first month, simply use the code WICKED20 during checkout. Thank you so much for your support, and we look forward to continuing to provide you valuable analytical insights at wickedstocks.com. Let's take a look at the chart. Start with the big picture, work our way into the day itself. About 3 weeks ago or so, we settled above this 200.16 long-term 18-month descending channel top, actually, after having settled above it, indicated 274.53, this rising channel top, as a 2 to 3 month target. I'd mentioned at the time it could be much faster, could be within 3 to 5 weeks perhaps, and it seems to be, the latter is what is actually occurring, obviously, as we're probably 90% of the way to reaching our initial objective at 274.53. In 3 weeks. Now, the overall target, I do think, does allow that retest of the 414.49 all-time high from late 21. Now, I don't expect to see that anytime soon, but I will say that if we close this week above this midterm target at 274.53, which is preceded by, a respectable longer-term descending two-thirds speed line this week at 268.78. You can see them both up here, upper right. If we close above this area at the end of this week, then we maintain that accelerated dynamic that has actually occurred following the April-May low, and we can continue, and I don't know about that same sort of vertical pace, but I do think that if we close about 274.53 at the end of this week, we certainly could, by the end of the year, retest the 414.49 all-time high, which I think is the long-term objective anyway. The question is, by the end of the year, or will that spill into some point in 24? And if we close above 274.53, I'd say, yeah, by the end of the year, 414.49 in reach. But we're not there yet. We are still maintaining the 268.78 to 274.53 target that is now like an intra-week objective, perhaps above 245.71. It is this mid-band that can contain weekly selling pressures. Now, we're giving you different numbers, because on the daily chart, that comes in at 243.71 to 245.49. You can see the mid-band support here, and that is shown here in the far right at 243.71 to 245.49. I don't know if we'll see that level this week or not. I'll get to that in just a second. But what I do want to talk about, at least for the day, is 258.15. Now, there's a lot going on in the 258 handle. And I switched it to 258.15 a few minutes before I went to recording this video, and I did not change the charts out because I actually do show, 258.15 on this chart here. There's a long-term 50% upside Fibonacci level that we did close above by a hair earlier last week, fell off, and then by Friday clearly settled above 258.15. We settled in the 260 handle. 258.15, I'm going to call our day support. But as I was mentioning a moment ago, we also have 258.71, which is that previous high settlement from earlier in the week. And if you look at when we fell last week's low, the high of that low is 258.95, and I squeeze that in as a minor point only. I don't like to have these levels inside of 1 point apart. I liked several points apart. I think that is sort of, I like to I take a look at the average daily range, and I look at the line studies and Fibonacci levels short term, and I like to pick about 3 levels that you can use inside the average daily range. And right now, that's about, last week's range, last Friday's range was about 6 points. So, you could have one every couple of points, right? You could have, anyway, I'm getting deep in the weeds on how I determine these levels, or at least I don't like to have them bunched up, you know. If you've got a relatively high volatility stock, I don't want you having to scratch your head over, every point. Which one should I grab? These are all levels that have meaning. As I've already mentioned, 258.95. So really what I'm saying here is if you're interested in buying aggressively ahead of 258.15, that longer term Fibonacci level, you can take your pick at 258.95 or 258.71. But it really is 258.15 that I'm saying can contain daily selling pressures because of its longer term Fibonacci level, and above which I have an up pivot, above which bullish momentum remains intact this week. That 273.53 rising channel top in reach, possibly today. Now, 273.53 is part of this range of resistance that I showed on the weekly chart here between 268.78 and 274.53. It's really sort of pick your spot, starting at 268.78 up to 274.53 for the entire week. This level, this area will remain relatively unchanged. I'll be monitoring, obviously, the daily chart version at 273.53 to keep you abreast of that. But this is the area. A couple things I'll say about it. If you went long a few weeks ago, when we settled above the 200.16 channel top, and I'd mentioned perhaps reaching for 265, 275 out of the money calls that don't expire for at least several months. If you're still long those calls, I think you should consider taking at least some profits on those calls. And of course, if we were to close above 274.53, you would hold on to the balance to see where the market could go at that point in time. I do have targets that I pegged, but it's still early stage. And, once we approach the 268.78 to 274.53 area, which may well be this week, I will start sharpening those levels and dialing them in terms of what we can expect over certain periods of time. I like to take a look at the 2 to 3 week time frame. I like to look at the 2 to 3 month time frame, and so forth and so on. And we're just not really there yet to presenting that. Talking downside again today. If we break, especially if we open below 258.15, that may be a sell signal right out of the gates. So if we open today, for instance, breaking, yes, is a sign of weakness. Opening, certainly below 258.15, a sign of weakness. And we could, within the day, fall to 249.32. So 249.32, just a simple rising channel structure. I'm confident in its ability to contain daily selling pressures. I don't know if we'll see it today or not, but I will say that if we break 258.15 today, 249.32 should not be discounted as a possible intraday target. 249.32 well suited to contain daily selling pressures. And because of this classic structure, we just might bottom out here into later week and push on to new highs from 249.32. This given the continued updraft that exists in this market, this given the fact that just below 249.32 is this respectable mid-band of channel structure that can absorb selling for the week itself. And the only scenario by which I'm actually expecting to test the 243.71 to 254.49 region is if we actually violate 249.32, and I don't see that happening today. So, to clarify, holding above 258.15, bullish momentum remains intact for the day. 265.74 in reach, where we can top out on an intraday, possibly daily basis. If we push through 265.74 today, that 268.78 level is in fact in reach. And that once again is on the weekly chart here as a long-term descending two-thirds speed line, trend defining in its own right. And it's also in close correlation with 274.53. This area, a great sell opportunity, I think, at least from the perspective of if you're already long. This would be a good zone to take profits in. And if you're an aggressive trader who likes to trade both sides of the market, if you're a 3 to 5 week swing trader, for instance, I'm speaking to you, where not only would you take profits perhaps in the 268.78 to 274.53 region, but you could then turn around and buy, 190 to 200 out of the money puts that don't expire for at least several months. Because once testing this upper area, as I've been saying, we can fall back to what would then be a new channel bottom coming up. This 274.53 channel top is defined by this trend line off these lows. Once we test the 274.53 channel top, this trend line becomes a channel bottom. It's presently in the 180s, 190s and rising. You've got this former channel top at 216 and dropping. That is a prime long-term support region that may well be in reach within 3 to 5 weeks, perhaps a couple of months anyway, following a testing of 268.78 to 274.53. And so this is kind of the big picture analysis. And last thing I will say about the downside in terms of possibly expecting with prior to testing the 268.78, there's nothing to say that we are destined to test it. We could ease back this week, and if we then close below 243.73, that is your downward pivot point into July. So I mentioned that low 200s, 190s a moment ago, and showed how they're developing. If we close below 243.71 over the next 3 to 5 days, I think we've got a good high through July, and the next 3 to 5 weeks would allow this market to give it all back into the low 200s, where, once again, a tremendous buy opportunity, I think, would present itself as we move into later year. I think I've pretty much rounded it out. Anything else that needs to be said is repetitious, so I'm just going to leave it at that for Tuesday's Tesla report. I'll be back tomorrow with Wednesdays, and you have a great day.